Hello friends, Europe is tightening the screws, the easy life for refugees is officially over, Germany is demanding that everyone works, Britain only wants the elite, Poland is cutting benefits, and Ireland is evicting people from hotels. Plus, Brussels is planning to bar men from entering. We're breaking down the tough migration reforms, the new survival rules in the European Union, and we'll also talk about citizenship. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Friends, thank you so much to everyone who don't hold back. It only takes 2 seconds, simple actions, a like to support the algorithm. Thank you. Now let's get down to business. Ms. Ursula von der Leyen and concern for the front. That's what our first segment is called, right? A journalist from the German publication Der Spiegel obtained a letter from the head of the European Commission to the leaders of EU countries. And I must say, the wording there is extremely pragmatic. Brussels plans to extend temporary protection for Ukrainians, but with a very significant caveat. Entry conditions will be strictly limited. What is the reason, you may ask? It is officially stated that the new rules are needed so as not to undermine Ukraine's defense capability. Well, of course, we're friends after all. In practice, this means that Germany and other major players in the European Union have pushed through a decision to block unrestricted entry for able-bodied men aged 23 to 60. That's how it is. Brussels' logic has completely reversed course. If earlier refugees were accepted by default under a general directive, now they plan to close the loophole for men of conscription age to help Kiev with mobilization resources. The European Union will announce its final decision mid-summer, so we'll be watching. Share your thoughts on this development in the comments. It turns out that Brussels is essentially taking on the function of controlling mobilization by closing the borders for men. It's very interesting to read what you think. Should everyone go to the front, or do people have the right to live their lives? By the way, write in the comments, Baldy, why aren't you at the front? Because you need to promote your videos. Next we have Switzerland. The cantons are deciding the fate of C permit. Traditionally neutral Switzerland is also keeping up with the general European trend. Bern plans to extend the special protective status C for Ukrainians until 2020. But the government decided to conduct a tough survey among the local authorities of the cantons. There is one painful question on the agenda. Should it be resolved? Should the status C of military-aged men from Ukraine be decided? If the cantons vote in favor, then thousands of Ukrainian men of conscription age in Switzerland could instantly lose their right to legal residence, any benefits, and housing if they have it. In fact, people will be faced with a choice. Either return, move to another country, or go into harsh illegality without any rights. What do you think? Will European countries go further than just simple restrictions on entry? And in general, will there actually be revocation of statuses and deportations of those men who are already inside the European Union, or will it not come to that? Now, of course, it's interesting whether the EU even has the right to decide who needs protection based on age and gender. Or is this a direct violation of the basic principles of humanism, which people in Europe love to talk about so much? So write in the comments, I read everything. So look, friends, the screws are tightening all across Europe at the same time. The West's position is changing right before our eyes. In other words, the humanitarian mission is gradually giving way to the harsh demands of real politics. And our next segment is about what Ukrainians can expect in Germany, Poland, and Britain. We'll talk about Poland separately, especially in light of the recent news about the White Eagles. But in general, we're facing a classic life dilemma. European countries are gradually shutting down free aid and are asking refugees to make a decision. Guys, either you stay here and integrate, working by the general rules, or when these deadlines end, well, there's the door, as they say. You know the rest. Let's see how this looks in practice in 3 different countries where there are the most Ukrainians. Let's try to assess the situation realistically, okay? Germany. Germany now looks like probably the most attractive option, but only for those who are ready to study and work hard. The main advantage? Berlin has officially allowed the years spent under temporary protection to be counted. That's the famous Section 24. All of this counts toward the total 5-year period required to obtain citizenship. So if you arrived in 2022, it means that theoretically in 2027, you can apply for a passport. But there won't be any freebies, I'm telling you right away. No easy benefits. You can't get a passport directly from refugee status. You need to find a job and switch to a regular residence permit. Yes, work, freelancing, business, and so on. No help from the government. You have to fully support yourself and your family. Without this Bürgergeld payment, An important point, of course, is the language requirement. The strict minimum is B1. Without it, they won't even look at your documents. Plus, of course, honestly, I haven't personally dealt with it much, but people who live in Germany have told me that you need to take German bureaucracy into account. The lines at the Foreign Affairs offices are so long that you might have to wait another year and a half just for your documents to be reviewed. Here you go. Share in the comments. Is it fair to require B1 level German just for status? Or should there be leniency for those already employed? Maybe lower it to A2. What do you think? Write your thoughts. So, sunny United Kingdom, by the way, I recently checked and there are some good tickets to Newcastle. You could fly there for the weekend. I haven't been to Newcastle on the North Sea, but the weather doesn't seem very good. Oh well. The United Kingdom awaits only the elite. The rest need to work hard. If Germany gives difficult but understandable rules of the game, then London has switched to a strict selection mode. Britain's position is simple. Guys, you're here temporarily. After the war, you'll be sent back home. For those who want to stay, there's only one way, a standard work visa. Skilled worker, and here's where it gets interesting, the salary threshold. Your official salary must be no less than £41,700 per year. To put it in perspective, that's more than the average Brit earns. Next comes the search for, let's call it, a boss. Yes, that's not a very nice word. Just having a regular job isn't enough. Your employer needs to agree to become your official sponsor. They have to pass a background check, pay some government fees. For small businesses, it's easier to hire a local than to go through this hell for a foreigner. Well, unless it's true love. So, a step to the left or right means deportation. The visa is strictly tied to a specific employer. If you get fired, you have just a few weeks to find a new licensed sponsor, or your documents will be cancelled. Yes, and your refugee years, the time towards British citizenship, won't count. Well, it's cynical. What do you think of this British approach? Is this an honest selection of the needed specialists, or just mockery of people who don't have the opportunity to get top positions? Write your opinion in the comments. So, Poland. All right, let's briefly talk about our beloved sunny Poland. My God, how lucky the Polish people are with their president. Here in Italy, everyone keeps asking us, when Karol Nawrocki finishes his presidential career, can he come to Italy instead of Sergio Mattarelli? Of course he can. Just write him a letter. I think he's such a kind guy, he'll come. In Poland, where there are a lot of Ukrainians, yes, since March they've tightened the rules. The time to live on 800 plus is, of course, over. A new principle has been introduced. State support is only given to those who are working. That is, there is a special 3-year status called tesukar, which turns a refugee into a regular resident of the country. You can live and change jobs without permits, but there's a catch. First of all, tesukar and all child benefits go through taxes. That is, 800 plus and other benefits, well, yes, to be fair, they do exist. Yes, there aren't many of them, and they're not very big, but they do exist. Let's not say they don't. But only those who work officially and pay taxes get them. No job, no help. That's it. There's no salary threshold as in Britain. You just need to earn at least minimum wage. Well, but because the tesukar status was introduced recently, tens of thousands of people rushed to the migration services. And the system itself works very poorly. It's hard to make an appointment. Well, that's why many people are still in limbo. Friends, comment where you think conditions are more humane. Germany, where you study and learn the language but get a real shot at citizenship. Or in Poland, where you just have to work any job. Or in Britain, which immediately filters out anyone earning less than £41,700. Interesting, isn't it? Right, what conclusion can we draw? European Union countries are adopting a pragmatic approach. We need taxpayers, specialists, and integrated citizens. We condemn the war and its negative consequences. But come on, guys, go to work. Those who can fit these requirements will stay. The rest will have to look for some other options. And one more thing, friends, a short bit on Ireland, from humanitarianism to economics. Dublin was the first in the EU to skillfully turn a humanitarian mission into a practical economic project. The screws are tightening. If someone managed to get by without doing anything, well, that won't work anymore. Let's go over the new Irish rules calmly, but without any illusions. While the rest of Europe is still thinking about what to do with these people under temporary protection, Ireland has already made a concrete plan. The so-called Stamp 4. Stamp 4 means translation, for those who missed it, right? Starting in September, an official scheme will be launched to transition from refugee status to full resident status with the prospect of obtaining a passport. But yes, of course, here comes what follows after the word but. The price of admission is steep. You won't get the status automatically because there are strict criteria, employment requirements. You must work officially in the country for 6 months, but it's not hard. Salary threshold. The income must be at least 29,432 euros per year gross. So that's about how much? Well, that's not too much either, right? Housing issues. You are required to rent accommodation on the commercial market by yourself. At the same time, the statistics are harsh. Out of 80,000 Ukrainians living in Ireland, only 30,000 people are officially employed. That means the rest are children, mothers, and pensioners who objectively cannot meet such income requirements. Although, of course, they're not as astronomical as in Britain, but still, in my opinion, not small either. And here, the harshest blow from Dublin is to free housing. Starting in August, the government is officially ending the free hotel housing program. People receive 3 months' notice, and authorities plan to fully shut down the program by spring 2027. Payments to local sponsors who host migrants are also being cut to a minimum, and starting next year, they will be cancelled altogether. But the problem is that Ireland itself is in the midst of a deep housing crisis. There are few houses, rent is insanely expensive, because a one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts, according to my information, costs about 1,500 euros a month. Write in the comments if you're watching from Ireland. Local residents themselves compete for housing for years, which understandably causes social tension. Like they just arrived and immediately got a place while we have to work hard. Refugees are basically faced with a tough choice. Either jump into the aggressive and expensive rental market or accept relocation assistance from the government and move on somewhere else, either back home or somewhere else. There you go. Ireland's position changed before our eyes from a warm welcome to strict checkpoints. What do you think about Ireland only letting in people earning 30,000 euros? Is this fair? Or is it discrimination against mothers with children and the elderly? Will people actually be able to find housing in Ireland's real estate market with such a severe shortage? Or will the reform just leave thousands of families on the street? What do you think? Write in the comments. I read everything. By the way, friends, please write the city you're watching from. Like Dennis, watching from Dublin, watching from Cork, watching from London, from Newcastle. By the way, maybe someone in Newcastle lives there and wants to host me for 2 nights. So write to me. So, the European vacation is coming to an end. For whom was it really a vacation? Ireland. Ireland made that pretty clear. The country needs workers, and not just Ireland. It needs taxpayers, not welfare recipients. And if someone wants to live on welfare, they can go to Poland. There, for 800, you get a Lamborghini, Ferrari, and more. By the way, there will be a separate episode on Poland, which will be interesting. Yeah, there. The Institute of National Remembrance does some crazy things there. So subscribe so you don't miss it. Friends, leave likes and write comments. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves and loved ones. See you next time.